contract for 2026. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Michaela Timpson, if Stephanie White will decide to play her. The most athletic player on this team, I will continue to say. Some others like Lexi Hull, restricted free agent, Sophie Cunningham, unrestricted free agent, have indicated their interest in returning to the Fever, and Kelsey Mitchell, unrestricted free agent, is the Fever's #1 priority in free agents.
Here's what nobody's talking about. Kelsey Mitchell just posted the most cryptic message of her entire career, and buried inside those words is a decision that could completely shatter the Indiana Fever's championship window. The timing? Suspicious. The wording? Deliberate. And Caitlin Clark's response? That's the part that should terrify Fever fans. Because while everyone's focused on what Kelsey said, they're missing what she didn't say. 3 words are completely absent from that post. 3 words every returning player uses, and their absence reveals everything about where her mind actually is right now. But before we decode what Kelsey's really telling us, you need to understand what just happened behind closed doors with Indiana's front office, because their public statement, it contradicts everything they've been doing privately for the past 3 weeks.
The semifinals, I think I can do about 85%. I think they win the WNBA championship this year. They would have just won it. Okay? Well, I mean, that team, that Indiana Fever team that was made up of hardships and you know, somebody referred to it as the hospital fever team. They gave the loss.
Control the controllables. That's what Amber Cox just said. The Fever's general manager literally used the most generic corporate phrase in sports management. You know what that actually means? It means they have no idea what's happening with their roster. Zero control, zero leverage. And here's the psychology behind that response. When executives start using vague business jargon instead of concrete plans, they're buying time, they're managing expectations, they're preparing fans for bad news without actually delivering it yet. Look at what she didn't say. She didn't say Kelsey's coming back. She didn't say we've had productive conversations. She said they're talking to all players during exit interviews. That's not a retention strategy. That's damage control. Because while Cox is out here talking about controlling controllables, Kelsey Mitchell is posting messages about survival mode and going hunting. You see the disconnect? The front office thinks they're in negotiation mode. Kelsey's already in decision mode.
All right. We don't know what it means. We don't, you know, I mean, you would need some kind of code buster. I would need to call in the Wind Talkers. You ever seen that movie? Yeah. To try to break this code. Had to get it different than everybody else. Grief had me excited for a small piece of it. Indifferent for the majority of it. Charged it all to the game. Ain't no life jacket come for me, word to him.
Listen to those exact words again. Grief had me excited for a small piece of it, indifferent for the majority of it. Indifferent. That's the word that should make every Fever fan's stomach drop, because Kelsey Mitchell just had the best statistical season of her career. She finished top 5 in MVP voting. She made All-WNBA. She averaged career highs across the board, and she's describing herself as indifferent for the majority of it. That's not someone who's excited about running it back with the same team. That's someone who felt like something was missing even during her peak performance, even during the success, even during the wins. And here's what most people are missing about that message. She's not talking about the season that just ended. She's talking about her emotional state moving forward. That survival made me is past tense. The motto remains shut up and go hunting is present tense. She's already mentally moved into her next chapter, but there's a deeper layer here that reveals exactly what Kelsey's thinking, and it has everything to do with what happened when Caitlin Clark went down with that injury.
Real high in the MVP voting, all WNBA team, and of course, she scored out of her mind with Caitlin Clark being out of the lineup. She got a few more shots. Her scoring went way up, and of course, she benefited from that. Now, she's putting messages on her Instagram. We'll look at it in just a second. After we get past Chloe Peterson talking
This is the moment that changed everything. When Caitlyn went out, Kelsey didn't just step up. She exploded. Her scoring jumped. Her confidence skyrocketed. Her usage rate went through the roof. And for those few games, she got to experience something she hadn't felt in years. Being the show on the court, not the co-star, not the complimentary piece, the main attraction. Now put yourself in Kelsey's shoes for a second. You've been in the league for years. You've put in the work. You've developed your game. Then a rookie comes in and immediately becomes the face of the franchise. The marketing, the attention, the plays are designed for her. The offense runs through her. You're still getting your numbers, sure, but you're getting them in the gaps, in the spaces the defense gives you because they're focused on stopping someone else. And then suddenly that someone else is gone and you get to be the focal point again. You remember what it feels like to have the ball in your hands with the game on the line, to have the defense scheme specifically for you, to be the reason your team wins. That's addictive. That's what Kelsey tasted when Caitlyn went down. And now she has to decide, does she want to go back to being the co-star? Or does she want to find a situation where she can be the star?
They can only do what they can do in the moment. Stephanie White said, so that's the focus. You get exhausted if you start thinking about the what ifs and what can happen. Yeah, but that's your job to do exactly that. Right now,
Here's what Stephanie White just revealed, without meaning to. You'll get exhausted if you start thinking about the what ifs and what can happen. That's not coach speak. That's someone who's already exhausted. Someone who's already spent countless hours thinking about what ifs. Someone who knows that their roster is about to look completely different and there's nothing they can do about it right now. And notice the phrase, where my feet are. That's present moment language. That's what you say when you can't control the future, when you're waiting for other people to make decisions that will determine your next move. White knows something we don't. She's been in those exit interviews. She's heard the tone in Kelsey's voice. She's seen the body language. And she's out here telling media members that she's taking it one day at a time because that's all she can do. But here's where this gets really interesting. Because while White and Cox are playing the waiting game, other teams aren't waiting at all. They're already making calls, already preparing offers, already selling Kelsey on a vision where she's not the second option.
all right. Fever General Manager Amber Cox said, you start prepping for, obviously, the college season, for what's going on internationally, planning out our scouting. How about getting some scouting? After some of that information we got, particularly with international players, I think they did all right. Chloe Bibby, if I had a squad, she could play on it. Both domestically and internationally, we're talking to all the players during exit interviews. Obviously focused on developmental plans for them, finding out what their needs are. How can we support them?
Watch how carefully Cox words this. Kelsey Mitchell is the Fever's #1 priority in free agency. #1 priority. Not she's coming back. Not we're confident. Priority. You know what that tells you? It tells you they're worried. Really worried. Because when a team is confident about retaining their star, they don't lead with she's our priority. They lead with we're excited to have her back, or we're working on a long-term deal. Priority language is what you use when you're trying to convince someone, when you're competing against other offers, when you need to make your case because the outcome isn't guaranteed. And here's the brutal reality that nobody wants to say out loud. Indiana might not be able to offer Kelsey what she actually wants. Not because of money, not because of roster construction, but because of identity. Think about it. If you're Kelsey Mitchell and you stay in Indiana, you will always be Caitlin Clark's backcourt mate. That's how you'll be described. That's how you'll be marketed. That's how opposing defenses will scheme against you. You'll be really good, maybe even all WNBA again, but you'll be good in relation to how you complement Caitlyn. But if you go to Chicago, Portland, Golden State, you become the Kelsey Mitchell, the centerpiece, the player everything else is built around. Your success is your own. Your legacy is your own. That's not about ego. That's about legacy. And for a player entering her prime years, legacy matters.
Kelsey Mitchell's message. She said she was lucky to have her as a teammate and she was proud of her. Sophie Cunningham called her everyone's GOAT. Odyssey Sims said, Lefty, you are the coldest. It was an honor to play with you this season. Love you.
Look at Caitlin's response. Lucky to have her as a teammate, proud of her. Past tense. Not lucky to have you or can't wait for next season. Lucky to have had her. Now that could be nothing. Could just be the way she worded it. But Caitlin Clark is one of the most calculated communicators in sports. She doesn't accidentally use past tense when talking about a current teammate who's supposedly coming back. Either Caitlin knows something we don't, or she's reading the same signals everyone else is reading, and she's already mentally preparing for the possibility that Kelsey's gone. And here's what makes this even more complex. Caitlin probably understands Kelsey's position better than anyone. Because Caitlin's been the player her entire life, high school, college, now pros, she's never had to be the second option. She's never had to experience what Kelsey's experiencing right now. So when Caitlin says she's proud of Kelsey, there might be a layer of respect there for someone making a difficult decision about their own career. A recognition that sometimes the right move for you personally isn't the right move for the team.
I think that's the question, and I've said, I think there's a good chance she leaves this squad. Now, I know a lot of Fever fans don't want to hear that, but look, if she sits down with her agent, they're going to be like, she's going to be like, I just balled out, had all this success, but you're going to lose some of those open looks that you had are going to go to Caitlin Clark when she comes back.
Zero gone. Those are the two words that have Fever fans spiraling right now, and they should be spiraling because that phrase can be interpreted two completely different ways. Option 1, zero gone, as in I'm locked in, I'm focused, I'm ready to dominate. The number 0, her jersey number, is going hunting, going to work, going to prove doubters wrong. Option 2, zero gone, as in 0 is leaving, 0 is moving on, 0 is gone from this situation. And here's why the second interpretation might be the correct one. Look at the context around those words. The motto remains shut up and go hunting. Remains. That's continuation language. That's I've been doing this. I'm still doing this. I'll keep doing this wherever I am. Language. She's not saying the motto for next season or the motto for our championship run. She's saying the motto remains. As in, this is my motto, regardless of where I'm playing or who I'm playing with. That's individualistic language. That's personal brand language. That's someone who's thinking about their career as separate from their current team. But there's an even deeper reveal in that message that most people completely missed, and it has to do with who she's really talking to.
Word to your mother. Pop's blueprint kept me in survival mode. That survival made me. I don't know what it all really meant. Just that it meant I stood on all 10 about it. The motto remains shut up and go hunting. 0 gone. Her number is 0, by the way.
Ain't no life jacket coming from me. Word to Pops. This is the line that tells you everything. Because what Kelsey's really saying here is I'm not saving anyone. I'm not sacrificing my career to help someone else succeed. I learned from my father that survival means putting yourself first. That's not a team first mentality. That's not we're building something special together energy. That's I'm making decisions based on what's best for ME energy. And you know what? She's earned that right. She's been in the league long enough. She's put up the numbers. She's proven herself. She doesn't owe Indiana anything beyond the contract she already fulfilled. But here's where this gets psychologically fascinating. By posting this message publicly instead of keeping it private, Kelsey's doing something very specific. She's controlling the narrative. She's preparing her fan base for a potential departure. She's laying the emotional groundwork so that when the announcement comes, people understand her reasoning. This is classic reputation management. You don't post cryptic messages about survival and going hunting unless you're about to make a move that requires explanation.
If she realizes that and she's like, look, I now know what it's like for me to be the show on a team. And I think we would all disagree whose show this really is. It's Caitlin Clark's show. But she may look at a team like the Portland Fire. She can go there, be their biggest star. She can go to the Chicago Sky, be their biggest star. Even if the other person is still there, the double-double machine. Kelsey, at least on a basketball court, will be the biggest star on that Chicago Sky.
Now let's talk about the teams that are absolutely salivating right now. Chicago Sky just lost Kennedy Carter. They desperately need scoring. They need someone who can create their own shot. They need someone who can take pressure off Angel Reese. Kelsey Mitchell walks into that situation and immediately becomes their best player. Not their best scorer, their best overall player. She'd have the ball in her hands every possession down the stretch. She'd be taking the last shot. She'd be doing interviews as the face of the franchise. Portland's even more desperate. They're building from scratch with an expansion team. They need a cornerstone. They need someone with experience who can mentor young players while still being in their prime. Kelsey fits that profile perfectly, and here's the part that should terrify Indiana. Both of those teams can offer her the exact same money that the Fever can. So it's not about the contract. It's about the situation. It's about the role. It's about legacy. If you're Kelsey's agent right now, you're sitting down with her and you're saying, look, you just proved you can be a #1 option. You finished top 5 in MVP voting. You made all WNBA. Do you want to spend your prime years as someone's sidekick, or do you want to build your own legacy? That's a really hard question to answer when you've just tasted what being the main attraction feels like.
So really just focus on what we can control. As things roll out, we'll be ready to go. That's the biggest thing. Plan as much as you can. The planning includes making sure players have a foundation to lean on. The Fever only have 3 players under contract for 2026. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Michaela Timpson, if Stephanie White will decide to play her.
Here's the reality that Indiana's front office is dealing with right now. They only have 3 players under contract for next season. 3, Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Damiris Dantas. Everyone else is either a free agent or on an expiring deal. That means they're not just trying to retain Kelsey, they're trying to rebuild an entire roster while navigating a potential lockout, while dealing with new CBA rules they don't fully understand yet, while competing against teams that can offer their players starring roles. And the clock is ticking, because every day that passes without Kelsey committing is another day that other teams can make their pitch. Another day that Kelsey can imagine herself in a different uniform. Another day that the possibility of leaving becomes more real. This is why Cox's "control the controllables" comment is so revealing. She's essentially admitting they don't control the most important variable, Kelsey's decision. They can offer money, they can promise playing time, they can talk about championship potential, but they can't offer her what Chicago or Portland can offer her, the chance to be the star. And for a player who just experienced what that feels like, that might be worth more than any contract.
Team, and they badly need scoring. All right? They got rid of Kennedy Carter. Well, who's the other player in the league that can score like Kennedy Carter? Kelsey Mitchell without all the drama. And I don't think Angel stays there anyway. If I had to guess, I'd say the Atlanta Dream. But somebody's going to, they may make it where she can get offered a max contract by anybody. New York Liberty may look.
Let's talk about what happens if Kelsey actually leaves, because this isn't just about losing a good player. This is about losing the perfect complement to Caitlin Clark. Kelsey Mitchell is one of the best off-ball scorers in the WNBA. She can catch and shoot. She can attack closeouts. She can play off Caitlin's playmaking and get high-quality looks all game long. She spaces the floor. She doesn't need the ball in her hands to be effective. You know how hard it is to find that in free agency? Really hard. Most elite scorers need the ball. Most elite scorers want to be the primary option. Kelsey was willing to sacrifice her usage rate to play winning basketball alongside Caitlin. If she leaves, Indiana has to replace her with someone who's equally talented but also equally willing to play second fiddle. That's a tiny pool of players, and most of them are already on contending teams with no reason to leave. So Indiana's not just losing Kelsey Mitchell the player, they're losing Kelsey Mitchell the perfect fit. And perfect fits are way more valuable than talented players who don't mesh with your system. This is the part that should keep Fever fans up at night. Because even if they sign someone who puts up similar numbers, the chemistry might not be there. The willingness to sacrifice might not be there. The understanding of how to play with Caitlin might not be there. You can't just replace that with money. You can't just replace that with talent. That takes time to develop. And in a league where championship windows are short, time is the one thing you can't